Did you know that beneath the dazzling spotlights of Hollywood's golden age lurked an industry-wide conspiracy of fake marriages and hidden identities? When being openly LGBTQ meant immediate career death, studio executives arranged elaborate lavender marriages between gay actors and lesbian actresses, creating picture-perfect couples for public consumption while allowing secret lives behind closed doors. MGM, Paramount, and Warner Brothers maintained entire departments dedicated to crafting these false narratives, complete with staged photos, fake honeymoons, and even contractually obligated public appearances. Today, we peel back the glittering facade to reveal how Hollywood's most beloved stars lived double lives that would have shocked their millions of adoring fans. Rudolph Valentino and Jean Aker, the original Latin lover who made women faint in theater aisles, became Hollywood's first high-profile lavender marriage case in 1919. Studio executives, panicking over whispers about Valentino's supposed homosexuality, rushed to arrange his union with actress Jean Aker, herself rumored to be involved with actress Alla Nazimova. The marriage crashed spectacularly on their wedding night when Aker locked Valentino out of their hotel room. Valentino, bewildered and humiliated, slept in a nearby hotel while his bride refused to see him. The New York Times later reported the couple spent less than 6 hours together as husband and wife before separating. Their divorce became final in 1921, with Valentino's career miraculously surviving the scandal. When Valentino began taking roles perceived as less traditionally masculine, including his portrayal in Monsieur Beaucaire, studio pressure mounted again. This led to his second lavender marriage, to costume designer Natasha Rambova in 1923, who was reportedly in a relationship with Nazimova herself. Despite these efforts, Valentino couldn't escape being dubbed the pink powder puff in gossip columns. The Chicago Tribune even published an editorial attacking his masculinity, causing Valentino to challenge the editor to a boxing match to prove his manhood. The arranged marriages ultimately failed to quash rumors, and both ended in divorce, highlighting the futility of these desperate attempts at image control. Rock Hudson and Phyllis Gates, Hollywood's ultimate heartthrob, lived a precarious double life that nearly collapsed in 1955 when tabloid magazine Confidential threatened to publish an exposé on Hudson's homosexuality. His quick-thinking agent, Henry Wilson, hastily arranged a marriage to his own secretary, Phyllis Gates, creating what would become the blueprint for Hollywood lavender marriages. The studio manufactured an elaborate courtship story, complete with staged photos of the couple dining at romantic restaurants and fabricated accounts of their whirlwind romance. Behind the scenes, the arrangement was strictly business. Hudson reportedly told friends, "I'm doing this for my career, nothing more," while Gates later claimed she had no idea her husband was gay until after their marriage collapsed. The union lasted just 3 years before ending in a bitter divorce, with Gates later attempting to publish tell-all accounts of their sham relationship. What makes Hudson's story particularly significant is his transformation from closeted star to reluctant gay icon after becoming one of the first major celebrities diagnosed with AIDS in 1984. His death in 1985 brought unprecedented attention to the epidemic, with President Reagan finally mentioning AIDS publicly after years of silence. Hudson's films had grossed over $50 million during his career, making him one of Universal's most valuable assets, explaining why the studio went to extraordinary lengths to maintain his heterosexual image. When director George Cukor was once asked about Hudson's arrangement, he reportedly replied, "Everyone in Hollywood plays pretend for a living. Some just do it off camera too." Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor. Barbara Stanwyck, Hollywood's tough-talking dame with a heart of gold, maintained a carefully constructed double life alongside the devastatingly handsome Robert Taylor. MGM executives, alarmed by rumors about both stars' sexualities, arranged their 1939 marriage as a strategic publicity move. The ceremony itself foreshadowed the marriage's true nature. Taylor reportedly refused to kiss his new bride after exchanging vows and spent their wedding night at his mother's house rather than with Stanwyck. The arrangement benefited both careers tremendously. Stanwyck continued her impressive run of hit films, including Double Indemnity and The Lady Eve, while Taylor solidified his image as a romantic lead. The public eagerly consumed stories of their supposed romance, completely unaware of the business arrangement behind it. The charade lasted 12 years before ending in divorce, with neither star ever publicly acknowledging the true nature of their relationship. What makes this case particularly fascinating is Stanwyck's 30-year relationship with her publicist Helen Ferguson, who remained by her side from Hollywood's golden era through Stanwyck's later television success. Actor Clifton Webb famously described Stanwyck as "my favorite Hollywood lesbian." while Taylor himself reportedly confided in actress Shelley Winters that their marriage was merely for show. When columnist Hedda Hopper once questioned why the couple maintained separate bedrooms, Stanwyck coolly responded, "We're both stars, darling. We both need our beauty sleep." The story satisfied fans, while those in the know understood the coded message. Danny Kaye and Sylvia Fine. The hyperkinetic performer whose rubber-faced comedy and lightning-quick patter made him a global star wasn't exactly Hollywood's idea of a traditional leading man. Studio executives worried about Kaye's effeminate mannerisms and theatrical background, considering him too refined for mainstream American audiences. His 1940 marriage to pianist and songwriter Sylvia Fine provided the perfect solution to quiet the gossip while creating a powerful creative partnership. Unlike many other lavender marriages, the Kaye-Fine union lasted until his death in 1987 and produced a daughter, Dina. Fine wrote many of Kaye's most famous comedy routines and songs, creating a professional collaboration that blurred the lines between their business and personal relationships. Observers noted that while the couple worked brilliantly together, they often lived separate lives, with Kaye reportedly involved in a long-term relationship with actor Laurence Olivier, a claim that shocked Hollywood insiders when it emerged decades later. Kaye's films, including The Secret Life of Walter Mitty and White Christmas, grossed millions, while presenting him as a slightly neurotic but ultimately conventional romantic lead. Critics frequently commented on his unusual performance style, with the Los Angeles Times describing him as flamboyantly precise, a coded reference that knowledgeable readers understood. When asked about his marriage in a rare 1950s interview, Kaye deflected with humor. "Sylvia and I have the perfect arrangement. She writes the material, and I take the bows." The statement was more revealing than audiences realized at the time. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, Hollywood's most celebrated romance, may have been cinema's greatest fiction. Katharine Hepburn, with her pants-wearing independence and notorious disdain for Hollywood conventions, and Spencer Tracy, with his rugged masculinity and Catholic guilt, portrayed the perfect heterosexual power couple for decades without ever marrying. According to Hollywood fixer Scotty Bowers, whose 2012 memoir shocked Hollywood, their famous affair was actually a mutual arrangement to hide their true sexualities. Hepburn's lesbianism and Tracy's bisexuality. While Tracy struggled with alcoholism and remained married to his estranged wife Louise until his death, supposedly due to his Catholic faith, Hepburn reportedly had relationships with numerous women, including Laura Harding, Alyssa Landy, and Irene Mayer Selznick. Their relationship lasted 26 years and 9 films, becoming the stuff of Hollywood legend while providing cover for both stars. The studio publicity machine created an elaborate mythology around their supposed secret romance, with press releases detailing their private time together on film sets. Tracy and Hepburn never lived together, despite publicity claims to the contrary. When Tracy died in 1967, Hepburn famously didn't attend his funeral out of respect for his family, a decision that takes on new meaning when viewed through the lens of their arrangement. Hepburn's 1991 autobiography carefully maintained the narrative of their great love affair, showing how deeply ingrained the cover story had become in Hollywood lore. As film historian William J. Mann noted, their greatest performance wasn't in any film they made together. It was convincing the world they were in love. Raymond Burr and Natalie Meyer, the imposing star of Perry Mason and Ironside, constructed an elaborate fictional biography worthy of a screenplay to hide his homosexuality from fans. Burr invented tragic stories about a deceased wife named Annette Sutherland, who supposedly died in the same plane crash that killed Leslie Howard during World War II, a woman who never existed. He further embellished his fabricated past with tales of a son who died of leukemia as a child, another complete fiction. His brief actual marriage to Isabella Ward lasted just months before ending in divorce, after which he created additional fictitious marriages to create a heterosexual history. Behind this elaborate facade, Burr maintained a 35-year relationship with Robert Benavides, whom he met on the set of Perry Mason in 1960. They remained together until Burr's death in 1993, running a vineyard in California while keeping their relationship hidden from the public. Television critics consistently praised Burr's commanding presence and authoritative dignity without recognizing the exhausting performance he gave off-screen. When columnist Jack O'Brien once hinted at Burr's sexuality in the New York Journal American, The actor's legal team threatened immediate action, effectively silencing further speculation. Despite the personal toll, Burr's Perry Mason became one of television's most successful series, running for 9 seasons and earning him 2 Emmy Awards while he lived in constant fear of exposure. When asked about his elaborate life story in a rare 1969 interview, Burr cryptically stated, "I have no intention of setting the record straight. If people don't believe what I tell them, that's their problem." Judy Garland and Vincente Minnelli. The beloved star of The Wizard of Oz married director Vincente Minnelli in 1945, forming one of Hollywood's most fascinating lavender marriages. Minnelli lived openly as a gay man before hitting it big in Hollywood, at which point the studios demanded he create a more appropriate public image. According to friends and biographers, Garland was fully aware of Minnelli's sexuality and entered the marriage as a friendly arrangement beneficial to both their careers. The union produced one daughter, Liza Minnelli, who would become a gay icon in her own right. Despite MGM's publicity department working overtime to present them as the perfect couple, complete with staged domestic photo shoots and fabricated stories of romantic dinner dates, their marriage collapsed after 5 years. Garland later reportedly confided to friends that the arrangement had become impossible to maintain, particularly as her own struggles with addiction and mental health intensified. The marriage benefited both professionally. Minnelli directed Garland in Meet Me in St. Louis, which became one of her greatest successes, grossing over $6 million on a budget of $1.7 million. Meanwhile, Garland's star power helped establish Minnelli as one of Hollywood's preeminent directors. Their collaborative work masked the business nature of their personal relationship, creating a convincing public narrative while allowing each to maintain separate private lives. When questioned about their divorce, Garland diplomatically told reporters, "We simply grew apart," a statement that contained more truth than the public realized. Cary Grant and Randolph Scott. Hollywood's most sophisticated leading man lived with actor Randolph Scott for over a decade in what was euphemistically described as a bachelor arrangement. The pair shared a Santa Monica beach house dubbed Bachelor Hall by the press, with fan magazines publishing staged photos of the men in domestic situations with captions emphasizing their friendship and cost-saving living arrangement. Behind closed doors, they maintained what many Hollywood insiders described as a loving relationship. To deflect rumors, Grant married 5 times, while Scott married twice. Both marriages allowed the men to maintain their public images while continuing their private relationship. Director George Cukor, himself closeted, called them Hollywood's favorite couple, while actress Carole Lombard once remarked that Grant and Scott were so married it's painful. The arrangement allowed both men to maintain thriving careers, with Grant becoming one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors, commanding $300,000 per film by the 1950s, over $3 million in today's dollars. When a journalist later directly questioned Grant about his sexuality and relationship with Scott, he famously replied, "I've never tried to be anything except myself." The carefully worded non-denial became his standard response to such inquiries. Grant's daughter Jennifer has vehemently denied the rumors, calling her father very straight, while historians point to the substantial evidence of his relationships with men. This contradiction exemplifies the complicated legacy of these arrangements, where even decades later, the truth remains contested territory. Tyrone Power and Annabella. The swashbuckling heartthrob with the perfect face carried a secret that would have destroyed his career in an instant. Unlike many arranged marriages, Power chose to marry French actress Annabella of his own volition in 1939, though rumors of his affairs with men persisted throughout Hollywood. Their marriage provided convenient cover while allowing both to pursue their careers and outside relationships independently. Power's appeal came from what film critic Andrew Sarris called a beautifully maintained facade that promised more than conventional masculinity, with his slightly androgynous beauty attracting both female and male audiences. His box office draw remained undiminished throughout the whispers, with 20th Century Fox protecting their valuable star through strategic publicity and contractual control of his public appearances. The studio reportedly spent over $150,000 on publicity to counter rumors about his sexuality. The marriage ended in 1948, allegedly after Power's affair with Judy Garland resulted in an unplanned pregnancy. After their divorce, Power married Linda Christian in a lavish ceremony that received extraordinary media coverage, a move many interpreted as further image management. When British journalist Hugh Weldon once pressed him about the persistent rumors, Power simply replied, "A gentleman never tells," a response that satisfied neither denial nor confirmation while preserving his carefully constructed public image. Liza Minnelli and Peter Allen. Following in her mother's footsteps in more ways than one, Liza Minnelli married Australian performer Peter Allen in 1967. The marriage was reportedly doomed from the start. Allen was allegedly having an affair with Judy Garland's husband Mark Heron, even before the wedding. The 7-year union collapsed under the weight of its deception, with Allen later coming out as gay after their divorce. The marriage provided both with career benefits and social cover during a period when homosexuality remained taboo in entertainment circles. Broadway producer Harold Prince later commented that the arrangement reflected the impossible pressures put on performers who didn't fit the heterosexual ideal, noting how even in the more liberal 1960s and 70s, openness about sexuality could still derail promising careers. Despite the personal complications, both enjoyed successful careers, with Allen becoming a celebrated songwriter and Minnelli winning an Oscar for Cabaret in 1972. When Allen died of AIDS-related illness in 1992, Minnelli attended his funeral, later telling friends, "We were each other's beards, but we were also genuine friends." Their relationship represented a transitional moment in Hollywood history, no longer the strictly business arrangements of the studio era, but still far from the openness that would gradually emerge in later decades. Allen's song, "I Honestly Love You," later recorded by Olivia Newton-John, was rumored to have been inspired by his complicated relationship with Minnelli and the impossible situation they both navigated. Montgomery Clift and Libby Hullman. The sensitive leading man who revolutionized screen acting never formally entered a lavender marriage, but his relationship with torch singer Libby Hullman, herself bisexual, provided convenient cover for both. Clift struggled with his sexuality throughout his life, having relationships with both men and women while battling internal demons that contributed to his alcohol and prescription drug dependencies. After his disfiguring car accident in 1956, Hullman devoted herself to his care, creating what film historian William J. Mann called a relationship of mutual protection and genuine affection, if not romantic love. Their connection allowed both to move through Hollywood social circles as a quasi-couple while maintaining their private relationships. Elizabeth Taylor, one of Clift's closest friends, later revealed that Monty lived in terror of being exposed, even as he became one of Hollywood's most celebrated actors with 4 Oscar nominations. His performances in films like From Here to Eternity and A Place in the Sun earned him millions of fans who remained completely unaware of his private struggles. Critics praised his sensitive portrayal of tormented masculinity without recognizing that his most convincing performances came from channeling his own internal conflicts. When director John Huston was asked about rumors of Clift's sexuality, he responded, "Montgomery didn't have sex with men. He had love affairs with men," a distinction that reflected the complex emotional reality behind Clift's relationships rather than the simplified labels of his era. Janet Gaynor and Adrien Greenberg. The first-ever Academy Award winner for Best Actress found the perfect beard in costume designer Adrien Greenberg, better known simply as Adrien. After 2 failed marriages, Gaynor's third marriage to Adrien in 1939 became her most successful, lasting 20 years until his death in 1959. Both used the arrangement to advance their careers while hiding their true sexualities from public scrutiny. Fashion historian Caroline Milbank noted that their marriage worked precisely because it made no romantic demands on either partner, allowing both to maintain their professional standing while enjoying private freedoms. Adrien's position as MGM's chief costume designer made him responsible for creating the iconic looks of stars like Joan Crawford and Greta Garbo, while Gaynor transitioned from ingenue roles to more mature characters as her career evolved. The couple's respected position in Hollywood society allowed them to socialize freely without suspicion, with their dinner parties becoming legendary for the gay and lesbian celebrities who attended. They even had a child together, Robin Gaynor Adrien, completing the picture-perfect family image while maintaining their private arrangements with same-sex partners. Their successful marriage represented what many in Hollywood saw as the ideal arrangement, a mutually beneficial partnership that protected both parties while allowing genuine friendship to flourish. When Adrien died unexpectedly of a heart attack in 1959, Gaynor never remarried, suggesting the unique nature of their arrangement and the difficulty of finding another partner who would understand her needs. William Haynes and Jimmy Shields. Unlike many of his contemporaries, William Haynes refused to enter a lavender marriage when demanded by Louis B. Mayer at MGM, the successful silent film star whose films grossed millions for the studio throughout the 1920s, chose to end his acting career rather than give up his relationship with Jimmy Shields. Mayer reportedly told him, "I'll destroy you," to which Haynes responded, "I don't care. I'd rather be happy than be a star." True to his word, Mayer blacklisted Haynes from Hollywood, effectively ending his film career overnight. Undeterred, Haynes and Shields remained together for 47 years until Haynes' death in 1973, reinventing themselves as interior designers to the stars. Their client list included Joan Crawford, Gloria Swanson, Carole Lombard, and even Ronald and Nancy Reagan, demonstrating how the industry that had rejected Haynes still valued his aesthetic sensibilities. Director George Cukor called their relationship the happiest marriage in Hollywood, noting the irony that it was the one that couldn't be acknowledged publicly. While Haynes paid a severe professional price for his refusal to comply with studio demands, his design business ultimately brought him even greater wealth and a freedom that his acting colleagues, trapped in their lavender marriages, never experienced. His story stands as a rare example of someone who successfully challenged the system and found happiness on his own terms, proving that alternatives to Hollywood's oppressive expectations were possible, if rarely achieved. Greta Garbo and Marleni Dietrich. Though never married to each other, both of these legendary actresses reportedly had a passionate affair in 1920s Berlin, while maintaining relationships with men as cover. Garbo famously never married anyone, preferring her enigmatic independence, while Dietrich entered a marriage of convenience with Rudolph Cesar that lasted decades despite their separation, and her numerous affairs with both men and women. Author Diana McClellan uncovered evidence of their relationship in her book, The Girls, revealing that the studios worked tirelessly to keep the affair hidden from the public. Both women publicly denied even knowing each other well, a claim contradicted by extensive evidence. Film historian Vito Russo noted that both women understood the value of mystery, using their enigmatic public personas to deflect attention from their private lives. Their carefully crafted images as femme fatales who broke men's hearts helped conceal their relationships with women, including writer Mercedes D'Acosta, who maintained relationships with both actresses at different times. Dietrich's husband, Cesar, apparently accepted her bisexuality, maintaining a separate residence with his own mistress while remaining legally married to Dietrich until his death, an arrangement that provided cover while allowing both partners independence. Meanwhile, Garbo's famous declaration, "I want to be alone," took on new meaning when viewed through the lens of her need for privacy regarding her personal relationships. Both women commanded extraordinary salaries, Garbo earning $300,000 per film at MGM and Dietrich receiving $200,000 per picture at Paramount, explaining why studios invested so heavily in maintaining their heterosexual public images. George Cukor and George Hining and Huene. The celebrated director never officially entered a lavender marriage, but maintained careful appearances while becoming Hollywood's most successful closeted filmmaker. His famous Sunday brunches became safe spaces for Hollywood's gay community, with stars like Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, Vivien Leigh, and Laurence Olivier regular attendees. These gatherings created a protective social circle where industry figures could relax away from public scrutiny. When rumors threatened his career, studio publicists arranged for Cukor to be photographed escorting various starlets to premieres and events, creating the impression of an active heterosexual dating life. Actress Constance Bennett once remarked that George knew how to create perfect illusions, both on screen and off, referring to his skill at navigating Hollywood's complex expectations. Despite being an open secret in Hollywood, Cukor's sexuality never reached the public, allowing him to direct classics like The Philadelphia Story, A Star is Born, and My Fair Lady. His friendship with photographer George Hining and Huene provided both men with social cover, allowing them to attend events together without raising suspicions. When journalist Bose Hadley later questioned him about Hollywood's gay subculture for a book, Cukor reportedly responded, "I've lived through an era when to be yourself was to risk everything. Don't expect me to be the first to speak now that the danger has passed." This reluctance to discuss sexuality even after attitudes began changing reflected the deep caution ingrained in those who had survived Hollywood's most oppressive era. Cesar Romero and Jane Wyman. The dashing actor, nicknamed the Latin from Manhattan, never married, though he was frequently linked to various female stars, including a brief engagement to Jane Wyman. Romero played Hollywood's game perfectly, seen with beautiful women at premieres while maintaining his private life with absolute discretion. When questioned about his bachelor status, he deflected with charm, claiming his mother's cooking could never be matched by any potential wife. Later famous for playing the Joker in the Batman television series, Romero's long career survived intact, despite being what he privately called Hollywood's most eligible bachelor who would never marry. Columnist Hedda Hopper once directly asked why he never married, to which he smoothly replied, "Because I've never met a woman who could cook as well as my mother." This deflection typified Romero's approach to protecting his privacy while maintaining his bankable image as a Latin lover in dozens of films for 20th Century Fox. Unlike some stars who entered lavender marriages, Romero chose the path of permanent bachelorhood, allowing speculation but never confirmation. This approach worked for him throughout a career spanning more than 60 years and 200 films and television appearances. When asked about his sexuality in his later years, Romero reportedly told a friend, "I've lived my life exactly as I wanted to, just not publicly." His successful navigation of Hollywood's expectations without compromising his personal life represented a different but equally challenging path through the industry's homophobia. Clifton Webb and Noel Coward. The acerbic actor never entered a formal lavender marriage, instead living with his mother throughout his adult life, an arrangement that provided perfect cover in an era when such living situations weren't uncommon. Webb's close friendship with British playwright Noel Coward, himself closeted, created mutual protection for both men, allowing them to socialize together without raising suspicions due to their shared artistic interests. Webb specialized in playing sophisticated, sarcastic characters that utilized his natural persona while obscuring his sexuality. His most famous role as Waldo Lydecker in Laura featured him in a bathtub in the first scene, a scandalous moment that director Otto Preminger fought to keep despite censors' objections. Theater critic Brooks Atkinson described Webb as brilliantly creating characters who exist slightly outside conventional expectations, a coded reference to his non-traditional masculinity. Webb's refined, occasionally effeminate screen presence was accepted because it was presented as a character trait rather than a reflection of his personal life. His Oscar-nominated performances in Laura, The Razor's Edge, and Sitting Pretty established him as a character actor of remarkable range, while his private life remained carefully guarded. When Webb was posthumously outed in various Hollywood histories, former co-star Lauren Bacall remarked, "Everyone knew, but no one spoke of it. That was the code we lived by." This code of silence protected countless careers while enforcing a painful isolation that few stars dared to challenge. Alan Ladd and Sue Carroll. The diminutive star of Shane entered what many believe was a lavender marriage with his agent Sue Carroll, who was 10 years his senior. The relationship began professionally, with Carroll discovering Ladd and guiding his career before their marriage in 1942. The couple remained together until his death in 1964. With Carroll managing every aspect of his career and public image with fierce protectiveness. Hollywood insiders suggested the arrangement benefited both parties professionally while providing cover for Ladd's rumored bisexuality. Director Michael Curtis reportedly remarked that Alan's marriage was the smartest career move he ever made, alluding to the business nature of the relationship. Despite standing only 5'6", Ladd became one of Hollywood's biggest action stars, with the studio using various tricks to make him appear taller on screen, a metaphor, perhaps, for the other illusions he maintained in his public life. The couple had 3 children together, complicating simplistic narratives about their relationship. Like many Hollywood arrangements, the truth likely contains elements of both genuine affection and practical career management. What remains clear is that Carroll's guidance transformed Ladd from a struggling radio actor to one of Paramount's most bankable stars, earning millions for the studio while maintaining a carefully constructed public image that revealed little about his private struggles with depression and alcoholism. Anthony Perkins and Barry Berenson. The star of Psycho lived a double life for decades before marrying photographer Barry Berenson in 1973 at age 41. Perkins had relationships with numerous men, including actor Tab Hunter and choreographer Grover Dale, before entering what many considered a late-life lavender marriage. The couple had 2 sons and remained together until Perkins' death from AIDS-related pneumonia in 1992, which he kept secret from the public until shortly before his death. Perkins's career was defined by playing nervous, high-strung characters, with his performance as Norman Bates in Psycho becoming his most iconic role. The typecasting perhaps reflected the anxiety of living a closeted life in Hollywood, where even the slightest hint of homosexuality could end a promising career. Film critic Rex Reed, who knew Perkins well, described the marriage as a genuine partnership built on mutual understanding and compassion, suggesting a deeper connection than many Hollywood arrangements. Tragically, Berenson died in the September 11th attacks in 2001 aboard American Airlines Flight 11. Unlike earlier generations of actors, Perkins lived during a transitional period in Hollywood, where the old studio system was collapsing, but public acceptance of homosexuality remained limited, creating impossible pressures that led to his complicated personal choices. His son Oz Perkins later reflected, "My father had a life that was complicated by the fact that he was Anthony Perkins, and by the fact that he was Anthony Perkins in the 70s. Tallulah Bankhead and John Emery. The flamboyant actress made little effort to hide her bisexuality in private life, famously declaring, "Darling, I'm as pure as the driven slush." Her brief marriage to actor John Emery lasted just 4 years and was widely viewed as a convenience for both parties, providing the appearance of conventionality while allowing each to pursue their own interests. Unlike many of her peers, Bankhead was remarkably open about her attraction to women within Hollywood circles, having relationships with actresses like Ava Le Gallienne and Patsy Kelly. Theater critic Alexander Woollcott described Bankhead as the first American actress to live her private life publicly, noting her refusal to fully conform to Hollywood's demands. Though her film career never matched her stage success, Bankhead's legendary status allowed her greater freedom than many contemporaries, making her something of a protected rebel within the strict confines of Hollywood's moral codes. Bankhead's outrageous persona and cutting wit made her a favorite among audiences and fellow performers alike. When asked about her rumored affairs with women, she famously replied, "I've tried several varieties of sex. The conventional position makes me claustrophobic." This outspokenness, rare for her era, established her as an early icon for those challenging sexual norms. While her marriage to Emery provided a veneer of respectability, Bankhead never allowed it to define or limit her, creating a template for personal authenticity that future generations would embrace more fully. The Lavender marriage era represents a painful chapter in Hollywood history, where talent was held hostage to prejudice and authentic lives were sacrificed for commercial success. Yet within these constraints, many found ways to build meaningful relationships and supportive communities that defied the limitations imposed upon them. As we look back at these arrangements from our more accepting, though still imperfect, present, we're left to wonder, how many great performances were lost to history because talented individuals couldn't be themselves? And how many stars today still face similar pressures to conceal aspects of their identities for career advancement? Which of these secret arrangements surprised you most? Would today's celebrities make similar compromises if faced with the same career-ending threats? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.